we talked about this the other day, is proposing an international draft, because currently, as it goes, international players can sign with a team at any point as long as they have the money to pay them. Everybody has a certain amount of international money that they can work with, and and they can trade. Like, I remember a couple of years ago around the trade deadline, every trade that Jerry Dipoto made was for international slot money. It was before Ohtani came into the league. He was like, okay, we want to pay him as much as we can. So that's the way it goes now. But the international draft would level the playing field, right? Because like Ohtani wanted to go to Seattle, the Angels, and then I think there's one more West Coast team, maybe the Giants.
I don't remember.
But I know he wanted to stick to the West Coast.
Yeah, for sure.
And so what this would do is, like, Ohtani could be a freaking Pirate.
For sure.
Right?
I know we're picking on Pittsburgh today, but yeah.
But yeah, or he could have already been traded. He could have been traded already to the Dodgers or the Yankees. Like, he could be somewhere else completely different if there was a draft.
Yes.
So it makes sense. I understand it, but at the same time, I don't know, man.
So one of the stipulations on this was that they would give a more broad dispersion of funds to these players, that they would not only increase the amount of money that was going to the players drafted by a couple $100,000 each across the board, right? But that it would also give more and more kids opportunities to sign, and there would be an age limit. So right now they're doing handshake deals down in South America at like
in the Caribbean.
At like 12 and 15 years old. So between 12 and 15 years old. And it's crazy. And these kids are not shopping around and looking at other markets and other teams, and they're not being competitive in their negotiations and their searches because they have a team already at the big leagues that's like, bro, we want you. And that kid sells his soul a little bit. Yeah. Who wouldn't? I would.
Absolutely. Oh, for sure. If I was 15 and somebody came up to me and was like, hey, we've got our eye on you, I would have done I'd have dropped everything to play baseball.
So the idea is that it would level the competitive balance. It would put a little more money into a little more kids' hands and families down there, or wherever they are. I say down there like it's Australia, but down under, which it would include Australia, by the way.
It would,
yeah. There's all
Australia,
kinds of
Japan,
things.
Everywhere.
Yeah, Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anywhere they play baseball, I guess.
But on the other hand, didn't that article we read, didn't it say something about how there would still be like the top tier guys would be able to sign as free agents? They wouldn't have to go into the draft?
They wouldn't. That's what I was saying. They wouldn't have to go into the draft. The kids can say no. And that's the point that I made to you when we were talking was, okay, so all you got to do, Scotty B and his team, they just decide like to schmooze the kid and his family into saying, nah, like just don't enter the draft and you'll be all right. And they do a slick deal with the trainers at the commission, the athletic commission down there, or whatever. And now we're back to the same situation we have now.
Exactly, and probably even worse because you got agents approaching him. I'd rather have a team approach him than an agent, honestly.
I'm saying it's bad
because
it's not all. I should say it's not all good. Yeah. I like the direction they're headed. I don't think they have a polished solution.
Right, exactly, and I do think that if you're gonna have the draft, it has to be the way in. Right?
Yes.
Like that has to be the way in if that's the way you're going to do it.
So in any process, when you want to optimize a process, you compartmentalize it into bite-sized chunks so that you can understand where the single point of failure is in the event that something fails. Duh. So you limit it to a single point so that if it fails, you know where it failed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, yeah. So yeah, that's perfect. You're spot on.